Good morning, everybody. So it's 6 o'clock. This may be, and I'm not going to commit to it, but maybe the time that I am on when I decide to go live more often. So I have a feeling that this is going to be a continued thing. So be prepared for that to be so. So I started off my morning in my usual routine, which if you read or heard me talk about routines before, it's part of my human design gate. It's in my Mars. It's my energy dynamics, how I move through this world. And I do very well when I am in a routine. It's actually really detrimental for me when I am not, which by experience has proven to be true. I love learning all this information from like human design, from astrology, from, reading about tons of things, not specifically just to human design, but tons of other people who have experienced things, and testing them out for myself. What works for me, what doesn't work for me based on my experiences. So today I wanted to talk about taking things personally. This is showing up for me. I took some notes in my meditation this morning. It showed up as something I wanted to share, so I'm going to be reading a little bit from my journal about it. This is a tool that I've used to shift my life, and since we are talking about tools, I wanted to bring this one to attention. Tori says hi. Come here, baby. This one has impacted the way I respond to people, which is huge for me because I am a manifesting generator, and my strategy and authority is to respond to people. So my response is a key part of my life. And shifting the way I respond into a space that feels more aligned, healthy, like it's really good for me and my soul, I think is of great value. So not everybody is this. For example, James is a projector. He is supposed to wait for an invitation. And so he just sits and waits for somebody to come and invite him to something, and then decides if it is good for him based on his environment. Let's see. So this tool has shifted the way that I move and the way that I respond to the people that are around me. I've had a lifelong history of noticing when someone is upset. There are people who are open and they take on information from other people and really feel it within them. And I'm not sure, because I am not very open. I'm very open in my head and my root, but I don't necessarily take on, but I am very aware of other people's emotions. And in that awareness, I would get lost in this space of, okay, what past events did I contribute to this moment, to this feeling that's happening right now in someone else? And what could have I done differently to eliminate what's happening right now? And kind of basically figure out how I'm the cause of all the problems. And in that process, my ego would have a heyday and say, okay, I'm going to prove to myself that I never do this again. I never put anybody else in this hurt that's happening, as if what I was doing was actually hurting people. the next step in my egoic mind would be to fix it. I would go straight into fix it mode. Like, what can I do now in this present moment to take this pain away from this person and this pain away from myself that I'm now feeling because I feel like I'm at fault for what's happening. It was a never-ending cycle, and you can imagine, like each person that you are connected to, each person that is in your life that feels some upsetness about something. I mean, there's so many things and so many reasons people could be feeling upset on an hourly basis. And to take on anyone else's feelings as if it is you really takes so much energy and time away from the present moment, from connecting with the other person, because I'm in my space, in my ego, in my head, going, what's wrong? How do I fix this? I'm a horrible person. Instead of actually saying, oh my gosh, you're hurting right now. You're upset right now. I hear you. I recognize you. I understand you. None of that's happening. It's all up here in my head, happening in circles, which is where I'm open, which is an easy place to get lost in sometimes. So I did that with every person and every upsetness and every feeling that didn't feel good. And it wasn't until really recent that I noticed that this pattern was happening in me. So I've had a lifelong scenario of this pattern playing out just so that I could be aware of what's happening. If you're unfamiliar with patterns, you can think of them as things that were never a part of your design, never a part of you, that at one point in your life, information came in that said that it could be your fault, that you did something wrong. It could be a parent, a teacher, or maybe just a situation where you were quote unquote wrong, which I don't believe to be true in most scenarios. But we'll just say that for right now so that you can kind of understand the feeling of where it's coming from. And then you decided to, instead of just let that situation be that one situation and take a lesson from it, you attach to it as, oh, this is who I am. This is something that I do on a consistent basis. This is now how I define myself, as someone who does something wrong, as someone who needs to fix a problem, as someone who needs to change who they are so that they don't hurt other people. So these are things, that information that came in for me, that I attached to as, this is who I am, and then spent my entire life playing out this pattern, believing it to be true. So it was not until very recently that I figured out this pattern was happening over and over and over again. And I was constantly feeling drained and exhausted and like I was doing everything wrong and I don't know how to fix things. And then it showed up again yesterday, which is why I'm talking about it today. So James and I have been talking about moving out some things that are in the house, that have been hanging out in the house for a while, and we've had a consistent conversation about it, like consistent agreement on how it's going to play out, and the timing is going to be soon, and what it's going to open up for us. Releasing things always opens up new possibilities for you, especially things that you're not using or you're not serving. For example, taking a box to the thrift store for us is such a release of energy, because it's like I'm not hanging on to these things that I no longer need, that aren't serving me, that are actually putting a weight on me because I'm consistently having to deal with them, having to either clean them up, put them away, or find a home for them, like find a space to store them just in case one day I might use them. which that might one day tends to never happen. So taking it and releasing it just makes so much more room to breathe. And we'll notice when we're walking back into the house, like, oh, how good it feels. The energy just feels so good. Like there's so much more room to breathe. There's so much more room for good things to come in. So we had been consistently talking about that coming in and the possibilities of what else could come in because of that one thing in our house. So I was doing some other work for us to release for us, and it hit me. We've been sitting with this thing, communicating with it on repeat, and it keeps showing up, and it's not moving. Like we keep not moving forward with it. And with James's design of being a projector and being guiding, and my design of responding and doing the work, I noticed how many times it has been brought up and how many times I didn't respond to it. I felt like, oh, it's not my place, so I'm not going to do it. And it really felt like, okay, that feels like an excuse because I'm capable of doing the work. And this isn't in his wheelhouse to do. Like, that's not something that is naturally a part of his human design. So I took the next step in it, which wasn't actually moving and getting rid of it. It was just the next step to get us there. And James immediately had some resistance. He immediately felt some feelings in it. And I could see it, and I could see my pattern just playing like, oh my gosh, I did something wrong. I wasn't supposed to do that next step. I've created a problem, like, oh, what? I will never do this again, kind of feeling come up. But instead of attaching to it, I was like, yeah, I've been there. I've done that. It doesn't work for me. It creates so much energy drain, so much pain, so much feeling in me. It's almost as if I want to absorb the other person's bad feelings and claim them as my own, as if it's going to heal them. Like, I'd rather be suffering than see them suffer, you know? And then it's like, okay, so where can I put the blame on it? I'll put the blame on me. The safest place to put blame is on me. So I'm going to put it on me, Okay, so now how do I fix this situation? Because, all the things that I just said don't actually happen. It doesn't take the pain away from the other person. And I'm still seeing it. So I'm like, okay, fix it mode. How do I fix this situation? And instead of doing all of that, I just sat and was still and was watching James feel his feelings. And in like every other scenario, usually when someone feels this upset feeling, they just feel it out loud. They just take the ego that is coming up, attach it to the situation, and get upset about all of the things that led to that point. So they'll pinpoint it on them. They'll pinpoint it on, an outer exterior thing, or on me, or on someone else, or on a past experience that they felt is very similar to this experience. And that's usually, how we move through this world. That's, if you can see it a lot in like the news specifically. But even in your own life, when you're connected with somebody who does not know how to sit with feelings that are coming up, they usually just come out, and sometimes come out in such a way that is hard to be around for the other person and hard for them to be around themselves. So I was watching him process the information, and he just closed his eyes, and he was focusing on his breathing, and he was just taking slow, steady, deep breaths, which is something that we both are very in tune with, of just breathing through a situation that feels very hard. And it's like, I knew there was nothing that I did that was wrong. There's nothing that I can do to take away his feelings. And there's nothing I can do to fix the situation that's happening, because the situation that's happening is supposed to be happening. So I was taking some time to sit with myself and what was coming up in me, and I could feel this pattern retracing steps that it has done. And instead of attaching to, okay, that's what I need to do, I was just like, I see you, I hear you, I feel you, trying to fix this situation, trying to make things better. And it's coming from such a loving place of not wanting anyone to feel hurt, you know? It's not coming out of malice. It's not coming intentionally to hurt myself. You know, it's just coming because it's like the little girl is hurt that somebody else is hurt, you know? So, I just sat with this knowing that everything's coming in the right timing. It's all happening in purpose, on purpose. And within a few minutes, you know, both James and I were ready to communicate with each other in a like safe space of, okay, this is what came up for me. And then, you know, taking the time to understand and listen on my part. And then me saying, okay, this is what was coming up for me. And him taking the time to listen and understand and hear me out on my side. And then it's like, we were like, okay. And then together it made sense of, this is what's happening. These are the next steps. This is where we're going to go from here. And then sit with that. And then we went and ate and relaxed. And then it became even more clear, okay, what we originally thought were the next steps might not actually be the complete next steps. You know, that might also be a little bit of us trying to fix it. So we'll just see where this takes us, you know, in its own timing. So that's what we're doing. But I wanted to talk about it today because it's been such a huge pattern in my life, and I was kind of curious if other people felt this pattern come up inside them. I know some people don't personalize outer exterior things. They're very good about only taking personal things, you know, personal, and somebody else's feelings don't really affect the way they move through the world, which is beautiful. And then there's people who are designed to really feel somebody else's feelings. And curious if you are in the taking it on as you mode, or recognizing that it's not you or it's not your fault, you know, and really sitting with what's coming up and taking time to see where it leads naturally. So that was it for today. I wanted to do something cool today, or I think it's cool, you know, not everybody is into this stuff, but I am. I pulled my cards this morning and I wanted to show them off and kind of show you and say what comes up for me in them. So I use cards to kind of ask questions and listen to myself and get answers almost on a daily basis. It's I took a tarot card class from Spirit Science to kind of understand the background of it, and you know how people use it, where the drawings came from, where the words and the titles came from, what the meaning behind has been and changed throughout, you know, history. And it was so informative. So if you're super interested in tarot cards or affirmation cards or like habit cards, learning the history, and it doesn't have to be spirit science, but learning the history of the cards and that kind of stuff is super interesting. So I was pulling cards today, and I'll show you the boxes of the decks that I use. So this is one of them, and I actually have like a ton of these because I give them out to people as I see them, as I feel like it fits. because these were my first set of cards, and I adore them with all of my heart. They are simple, easy to understand. You don't have to do much research, of like understanding the meaning behind the card. It's literally just what the card is saying. So I got these cards, and the one I pulled today, the question I was asking was, am I moving in the right path, in the right direction with what I'm creating here? Like, am I moving in integrity? Am I moving with purpose? Am I doing what I feel called to do, with this project that I'm putting together right now? And so I was sitting with that question and saying the question over and feeling it out and shuffling the deck. And I do deck shuffles in twos. It's the number I chose, to do. Everybody has like their own way of doing it, and that is mine. And I pulled this one. So it says, I trust and know that all is well in my world. And if that didn't feel like confirmation with going with what my purpose is, I do not know. So that felt really good. That was my first pull this morning, and it was like, yes, everything is well, everything is going according to plan, and what I am doing, how I'm moving, is totally in alignment with where I'm going. So that came up. And then I did this one. So this one is from Allie. She gave me these, and they are self-care cards. I love them with all my heart because human design is a self-care thing too, and I don't know if I can tell you exactly where that is in my gate. So I'll have to look that up, and maybe I'll put that in the comments, or maybe I'll just post about that specific gate later. But I have a gate about recognizing my own self-worth through self-care, which is super cool and something I've never done before. Well, something I haven't done until like 2 years ago, really. Okay, so, and if any of you know me from 2 years ago, I went through this massive shift of, is self-care selfish? Is it okay to be selfish? And I had this big conversation on my social media about being selfish. So that's where that all started for me. So maybe I'll do a video about that later, about self-care and the importance of it based on your design, which I can't tell you unless you sign up for the personalized one. But I can tell you about mine because I've already put the research and the energy and the time into it. And I have not done that for others yet. So the card that I got for self-care was to build strength. And I love this one because although it shows the like physical build strength, it also shows the third eye, which means, internal strength as well as external strength. So where I feel like this is showing up for me is recognizing my patterns, recognizing the tools that I've used and that are coming up for me, so that I'm able to share those with you guys as they come along, as well as building my own personal strength within myself, my own trust in following my intuition, my own trust in following my guidance, and following my strategy and authority, and really listening in to me, and building strength, sharing that with you guys. So getting used to being on camera, getting used to having my wake up morning look be acceptable, because sometimes I'm going to show up in pajamas because I don't actually feel like changing my shirt. So we'll get comfortable here as we go. And so that's how that one's showing up for me. Then I did this. This deck was given to me by Michelle, and it was a deck that she used for a while, and then she said she just wasn't feeling aligned with it anymore and she needed to let it go. And I was just starting on this journey of cards, and I had just gotten my affirmation card deck and was talking about how much I loved it, and she was like, "Oof, you need this." And so she passed this one on to me, and that conversation of releasing things that no longer serve you bring in beautiful things. I can probably guarantee you Michelle felt that way about this. So if I get in connection with her, and I'll have her comment below if she feels comfortable on what she feels like after releasing this to me and what came up for her in the process, and if she received any goodness from it. So I got these cards from her, and I took my time playing with these cards, like touching everyone, reading about each one, kind of really taking a moment to understand them, because they were nothing like I had ever experienced before, and I didn't know anything about cards other than affirmation cards at this point in my life. So today I got this one, which I haven't gotten before, so totally exciting. And if I have, I don't remember ever getting this one before. And I've been using these off and on for 2 years. In the beginning, I just slowly played with them, and I would only pull them when I felt really like I was processing some information and I needed something to grab onto, because I was feeling very out of my grounding, and I really wanted to like ground in something that felt a little more outside of me, than just because I couldn't find the home to ground in inside of me. So this one says blossoming. It says you are just getting started, so have patience with yourself in the process and don't give up, which fits my question as well. Like, am I on the right path? Am I moving through this in a way that serves me, serves others? So that to me feels very true. Now, my favorite thing about these cards is they have a little book inside that goes deeper. So you can go into each one and learn about the history of the card, which I love. So you get to learn all about the history of everything, various meanings of the cards. So various meanings of this one is to slow down, have patience, get involved with gardening, use aromatherapy and or flower essences, keep the faith, which I love. And then it tells you about the history of the goddess on the card. So this one is Earth, a Earth Mother Deity, a fairy queen. So I'm gonna read more about her personally on my own, in my own timing. But all of the history of that really excites me. And then I don't always pull these last cards. These last cards I only pull when I have a question. Like, some mornings I wake up and I don't really have a question. I just want to pull cards to see what shows up. Like, I have no intention behind the cards. I'm just gonna let it free flow and see what comes in, which is very feminine. And then there's the masculine of like, I need an answer. So I ask a question. So I save these cards for when I have a question. And this is from Spirit Science. So if you're interested in Spirit Science at all, these cards came from there, and came from James to me. So I love noting who the cards came from, because I feel like it has a little bit of their energy and their vibration inside of it, and it's kind of beautiful. So patch cards have a huge book of information. It has a little booklet inside the cards, but I use the big one because I like to go real deep. When I have a question, I like the answer to be really deep. So, this one, I'll see if I can find the page again. we go. So the Three of Discs. This is the card that I got. And so you can see it a little bit more clearly. They use a lot of different elements in this card. So you have like the main definition right here, and you have the opposite definition right here. And then you have the planets that they're aligned with, you know, and then you have all these tiny little details in here, you know, that you can look at, like Thoth and Ra, that are in here, who hold their own meaning, you know, and the pyramids in the background, you know, they'll hold their own defined meanings. And then the elements that you see there. So these cards are filled with massive information in each one, which I love. So I pulled that card today, which the affirmation for this card is, I do what I love what I do, and I always strive to learn something new, which, you know, is like, I feel like so in line with exactly what this is. Keywords for this is project, focus, devotion, craft, learning, taste of victory, first steps, beginnings, coordination, and teamwork. So I'm not going to go into like the big reading of this and the big information behind this, but it really fits with the question that I was asking. And it felt really good to read all of this and kind of get an idea of like where I'm going and what I'm doing with this purpose. A lot of us move through life not knowing what our purpose is, not knowing what our path is, not knowing where we should be going, which is part of the design of being a human being. Is like, why am I here? What am I doing? You know, do I have value? Do I pass value on to other people? We all kind of have those questions coming into life. And I feel like these are just little tiny windows into those big questions to help you with maybe finding some clarity within yourself. You know, it's fun to look outside and find the clues outside, but after looking at all of those cards and sitting with the information that comes in, I check in with me. It's just what it is. For me, it's a mirror to look at myself. It's like, okay, I'm having trouble looking at myself clearly. I'm having trouble understanding what's coming up inside me. You know, okay, I'm going to ask a question. That question, you know, breeds some little hints of information. And you don't need cards to do this. I mean, you could sit outside in nature and ask a question, and a bird can fly by. And that alone can be like, all right, I need to move through this. The bird is moving through the air with ease. I need to move through this with ease. It could be so simple. You could be sitting next to a tree and you feel this like surge of energy, and you feel the roots going down into the ground, like you really feel grounded, and that be the information alone that brings you in. You know, there's a lot of things that happen outside of our world that we don't notice, that if you can take the time to just, you know, kind of notice and recognize the things around you, this whole world is talking to us, you know, in many different ways, and we can interpret it in different ways. So somebody else could see that same bird and see it as, I need to go away. Like, I need to move from this situation on to the next, as if the season for this has changed and I have a flight plan to a new space where it's warmer, you know. Like, somebody could see each thing and get a different perception, different information. And it's not about what the information means necessarily. It's not about what the bird describes. It's about what it describes for you, from you. It's your information that's coming out and being shown to you in real life to come in and see what you need to see, not what everybody else needs to see, what you need to see. So that's kind of what I get out of the cards, why I do the cards. And if it's of interest to you, I can continue showing you guys the cards each morning, and how they're showing up for me. But really, what I want out here is the tools that have really shifted my life, because those are experiential and give you a chance to take it in for yourself and what it means to you. And the cards are for me. They're my experiences. They're what it means to me. So we'll see what feels like you guys are interested in, and what you like to hear through here, whether it is more personal experiences that are going on or more tools, and maybe I'll just flow in a happy space of both. So it was great spending time with you guys today. Comment below if you have any questions. If you want to know where I got the decks. Like I said, some of them I got from friends, but some of them I have the websites for, so I can send you that information. Comment below with, what patterns you're seeing show up for you recently. It seems like sometimes majority of us are going through a similar pattern at the same time, because that's what information is coming up around the world for us to see. So curious if others are seeing this pattern as well, and if you feel like this resonates with something in you. Is this a pattern that you're playing out as well? So I will respond in the comments below when it fits in with my life. Like I said in the intro post, I don't plan on spending the majority of my time on Facebook, because the morning times are my me times, and then I have time to be with you guys, and then I focus on family and living my life out and doing what I need to do for my family, for my work, for my life outside of that. And I like to be screen free as much as possible, unless I am taking pictures of my kids. I like to not be really connected to my phone that much, so I can stay present with what's going on. I will be in the Mighty Networks group a little bit later today. I will be posting this in the Mighty Networks group, and I'll be posting like a poll question in the Mighty Networks group to see how you guys are responding and what's going on with you guys, so that I can deepen the conversation in there. So I'm actually going to go do that now. So if you want time with me at 6:45 a.m. here, I'm probably going to spend maybe like 30 minutes or so in the Mighty Networks, the Your Authentic Self group, talking more about this, and being available to you guys in there, so we can have a little bit more of a personal conversation in there. And I think that's going to be the habit and the routine that I'm doing, is doing the lives, spending time in Mighty Networks, and then moving on with the deep divers who want to have one-on-one time with me, and working on the personalized stuff that comes in throughout the day. All right, I will talk to you guys tomorrow morning, probably around the same time, with whatever comes up then. Love you all. Bye.